Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast and Transfer Hub. If you are new to our channel, subscribe, drop this video a like and get involved in the comment section down below. Justin, what are your thoughts on Diego Carlos to get us started?
Well, first and foremost, I'm devastated for him. It's a bitter blow, isn't it? He's come to England to make he's raised his profile a bit, I suppose, in the biggest league in the world. And second game in, he goes and ruptures his Achilles, which is a terrible injury. Probably one of the worst injuries you can have, I think, as a footballer, barring broken leg. And I even think a broken leg probably isn't as bad, to be honest, because I think once you've got that fixed, it's pretty much you're back, aren't you? With Achilles, these kind of injuries, they can rumble on, can't they? You can't. There's chances you might not come back up to speed. But for him, I'm just looking at his injury record, and pretty much he's never had an injury. I think he's had 2 minor knocks in his whole career. So to have that happen in your second game, very much Luke Nillis vibes. We were just talking off air, weren't we? It's terrible. I feel sorry for Gerrard. I feel sorry for the owners that have invested in him. It's just something you can't do anything about, can you? It's one of the things. That's what happens in football, isn't it? At any moment in any game, you can lose one of your best players or any player, can't you, to an injury? And I was that side of the pitch on Saturday, and when he went down, I've watched it again since, and it looked pretty innocuous. I don't know how he did it, to be honest. There was so much going on at that time that they didn't really put much focus on his injury, because the Villa were making 2 substitutions at the time. I think they were putting Ashley Young and Konsa on for Ramsey and for Cash, and then the physios were working on Diego, and I think they quickly said, "Look, he's done here. He can't continue." What looked like cramp initially, obviously, ended up being a lot worse. So Chambers quickly got stripped, and then I managed to get a video of him right at the end of the game when the game was over, coming down the tunnel, and he had his boot and his socks and his everything off, and he had 2 people helping him down the tunnel. And I think at that moment, then I knew it was a pretty bad one. And then obviously saw the pictures of him in a boot. It's just a bitter blow, isn't it? One of our major summer signings, one of 2 major summer signings for us. Terrible, real bad blow.
I think that's what's sort of making it feel a bit worse, because I have done a Transfer Hub video this morning. That was prior to the news of what had happened. So, some of you have probably heard my reaction on that, but I just think this was Gerrard's statement central defender signing, wasn't it? This was the one of the areas that he's looked at the squad and thought, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with what we got, because he sort of felt like that's where the inconsistencies were coming, wasn't it? That's where the heart of our mistakes have been coming from for pretty much a long time. And I know we've got Boubacar Kamara, and he probably shores everything up a little bit more. But I just felt like that being your statement, summer signing, and now he's on the treatment table for potentially 6, 9, 12 months, might not see him for the rest of the season. It's a big blow, isn't it, Justin?
It's huge. I mean, I think I'm quite good mates with Jim Walker, and I think when I was talking to him when Wesley did his injury, when the knee sort of overextended, and they were saying at the time that was a 3 to 6 months, I think. And I remember talking to him, and he was saying it's going to be longer than that, because that's just to get the injury right, and then you've got to rehab, and then you've got to build it up again, and then you've got to get match fit. As we've all been saying, every footballer needs a pre-season to get themselves going, and I think we've got to rule him out for the whole season. If he's back before, great, but is he going to be up to speed quickly? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I'm definitely not an expert or a physio or a doctor. So you have to sort of go along, and from the Googling, it says 6 to 12 months. So, but then again, that's sort of us, normal people. He's an elite athlete who's very fit. He's going to have the best rehab, isn't he? He's going to have the best doctors, the best surgeon, you would think, doing the op, and the rehab work will start almost immediately. So you can't rule it out, but I think we've got to just basically, in our heads, rule it out for the season, which is terrible for him and for us. But like you said, one of the major summer signings that he'd obviously been highlighted that he wanted. They've done a lot of research on it. They seem to go into quite depth now, don't they, to buy the players, and a ball-playing centre-half who's good in the air, who's solid. He's a big unit. He's good on the deck. He ticks all the boxes, and we were all buzzing when he signed because he looked like wow, this is a bloke that's going to walk straight. Well, he's going to start straight away, isn't he? And that's what's happened. He's basically first choice centre half this season, so he's lost his first choice centre half now. But we're not terribly off for centre halves. If you want to maybe start talking about what we're left with now, and we haven't lost anybody so far. I know there's lots of rumours of House going to be going because we'd signed Carlos, and it might just mean now that House will stay. Feeney's had a lot of minutes pre-season. Mings, for me, as I said before the start, is still probably one of our best centre halves and the starter. So he starts now every week. Conce's levels dropped a little bit last year, but there's nothing stopping him getting back to where he was when he first signed. He's a very good centre half. Callum Chambers hasn't put a foot wrong for us since he signed for us, and a lot of people have been calling for him to start anyway, regardless. There was big calls for him to start alongside Carlos, so in the first choice too. So we're okay, and whilst Courtney House, if he said to me he's going to play for 40 games in the season, I'd be a little bit concerned. But as a fourth choice, maybe even fifth, if he sees Feeney as his fourth choice, and maybe he won't go out on loan now. We've got 4 or 5 players there that are decent, and should be good enough to see us in that top half. I still believe that, as long as whoever's the first choice too can keep consistency levels up, because Chambers, Conce and Mings as a 3, if they're all at the top of their game, more than good enough to finish top half with them, 7th, 8th, 9th. I've no doubt about that. It's just what the manager sees now is how much confidence he's got in them. Does he see that he's okay with what he's got and he's happy to go with them? Or is it such a massive blow to him, that he wants to go out and do something there? I don't know. We've still got 3 weeks left. There was a lot of rumours of Tarkovsky, wasn't there, coming on a free as well?
Well,
now, whether that was
who we chose Carlos over Tarkovsky.
Yeah. So, if that was an either or, then they obviously chose to go with Carlos. If it was a both, then there might have still been a bit something to do. But I think most of the good frees have gone now because Tarkovsky went on a free, didn't he? So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be working busily behind the scenes, and we'll, by the end of the transfer window, we're going to know, aren't we, which way they're going. But it'll be interesting to see if they do choose to go out and do something, whether it's short-term loan or long-term.
Cool. So Villa fans, drop the video a like. There's quite a few of you watching, so if you can like it while you're still watching it, I'll just try and push it out onto YouTube for us. The transfer video that I did this morning, I asked for your opinions on, do you feel like we need another centre-back now, or are you happy? And to be fair, it was a pretty split down the middle, yes and no. A lot of you were saying yeah, and then some of you were saying no. So it was, I don't know, it's sort of, I don't know how I feel about it, if I'm being honest, because we've had a comment here, and this is sort of what spurred us on to go live this afternoon, this comment. And we are going to go in depth and have a look at the squad in a second. But this is what we were thinking. We were a Kamara injury away from the same starting 11 as last season, which is a scary thought. So what I would like to add on top of that is we were bad last season, and I do feel like the squad, and I've said this for a long time, and I'll keep saying the same thing, that squad is better than where we finished last season. So I think the squad there is better than what we got from where we finished. But it is a valid point that you take Kamara at that team. But we did see on Saturday how integral Kamara is now to us playing, because he was fantastic, and I think you'll all agree. But that would be the same team. And this is why I'm now a little bit concerned. And we've all been saying that we need another number 8, we need another midfielder. And you're right in the window now. And initially, I'd just say absolutely smash the window with Coutinho, Carlos, Kamara coming in. But now I'm sort of looking at with this Carlos injury, and I'm starting to think it's looking quite lightweight. Just in initial thoughts on the window.
Yeah, it's, as you say, the reason we've come on this one is because we've had a real all-day debate on the old WhatsApp group chat, all four of us. Slightly different opinions on some of the stuff, but I'm with you. At the start of the window, when we got the Coutinho deal done at a very good price, I think we'd all agree on that. Albeit he was there last season, so it's just making that a permanent. And then bringing in the two big signings, which is Carlos and Kamara, I was over the moon, and then we've obviously made a couple of squad sort of signings with a backup keeper and Augustine at left back. So yeah, I thought that's great, but I still think at the start of the window I wanted a number 18. I said I wanted a left back and right back cover, another keeper cover, centre half, a defensive midfielder, an 8, and possibly a forward. But I think we've discounted the forward now because I think he's happy to go with Ings and Watkins. So realistically, we're probably an 8 short of having a very good window. We've got to discount the Diego Carlos thing to a point because we did that. We went out and did that deal. It's such a shame he's injured. So that's now a separate issue, whether they want to go and replace him with a loan or a permanent. I'm sure there were other players in the mix for the centre half, so whether any of them are still available, I don't know. But as in right in the window, I still think we need a top 8 because I think we're a little bit light there. And like you say, should we, touch wood, not get another injury somewhere, it does leave us basically with the same squad as last year, especially if it's a Kamara injury. And I agree with you. That's not being that's not having a massive negative knock at the squad because we massively underachieved last year for many reasons. The Smith thing went wrong. Got rid of him. Had to get a new manager in blood. They changed the whole way of ethos of playing, formation, all that. It led to a real up and down season and finishing 14th. And if you said the whole of our squad that are currently fit, discounting Carlos, was fit all season, they all kept up a reasonable amount of performance level, I think that's a top half squad without question. The worry is what happens now because we've been hit by one injury. What happens if we just unluckily get another one? You sometimes see this happening. You see 2 or 3 injuries coming at once. I think it worries me that it leaves us a little bit short in certain positions.
Yeah, that's my thinking as well in certain positions. And so what we're going to do is I've been watching that All or Nothing Arsenal documentary, and if it's good enough for them, if this is how they assess their squad, then it's good enough for Up the Villa podcast. So this is what Arsenal did to assess their squad and their window. They put it all together. It does look a bit chaotic, but we'll bear with. So here we go. So this is the Aston Villa squad. Barring, I think we've still got steering goal, but you're looking at Martinez and Olsen. So this is our squad of what we have got. Now, when I do this and I assess the squad, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Right, so we know that Traoré is looking. We're looking to get rid of Traoré, aren't we? So you scribble out Traoré. We have a look at Sanson. He's been bombed out. You're looking to get rid of Sanson. Gilbert, training with the kids, looking to get rid of him. Nakamba is on that list as well, I presume, because he's not featured. He's been putting out nappies on Instagram and stuff like that. So I think if someone came in for Nakamba, we'd get rid of Nakamba. Irabunum, you'd put loan maybe. Josh Feeney, loan. And there's talk of Courtney House going to Watford, wasn't it?
Watford, I think. Yeah, whether I'd put a question mark next to him now. Just put a question mark.
Yeah.
If you can do the question mark. Nice work
there,
Luke.
There we go. Right. So that's our squad.
It's like Monday night football, isn't it?
Yeah. So now if I start looking at the squad now, I'm thinking we play with 3 midfielders in the central midfield. We play with Kamara, McGinn and Ramsey. You're only left with Dougie Luiz. So you're an injury away here from this area of the pitch looking very short. And then I'm sort of thinking defensive-wise, if we keep Courtney House, you're left with Mings, Konsa, Chambers. And this area worries me slightly. I think if we're a long-term injury with Cash, then that area is a worry. But where I feel more comfortable is this part of the pitch. I feel this is our strongest part at the minute because whether we play with a 2 up top or 2 number 10s, we've got options in Coutinho, Bailey, what Coutinho, Bailey, and Buendia, and if we play, striker wise. But then if we play two up top, we are left with one striker. We're an injury away from only having one striker left, aren't we? So, Villa fans, what are you saying about this? What are you saying about this squad? Where do you feel like we're short? Justin, where do you feel like we're short?
Assessing it like you have, I think keeper-wise we're fine. Right-back-wise, Ash Young's more than adequate cover for right and left-back for a few games. Like you say, if Cash got a long-term injury, then I would hope that the Kane Kessler Hayden loan would have had a little clause inserted in it that if we needed to, we could get him back, because I still stand by. I think he could play at the Premier League level and be decent for us. Left back, fine. I think they're both decent. Centre halves, I think that one of the things I'll be discussing today, I would imagine, is that the potential loans of Feeney could now stop, and the potential selling of Hawes could definitely stop as well. So, if they loan Feeney out and Courtney Hawes goes to Watford, that would tell me that they're going to sign another centre half, I would say. But if they don't, if those two things don't happen, then we've got 5 centre halves there that a starting 3 of Mings, Concert, and Chambers. You just decide who's your 2 that you want to bring in, and then either Feeney or Hawes then go on the bench as your backup. And then midfield, forwards wise, I agree with you. There's 6 players there. Coutinho, Ings, Watkins, Archer, Buendia, and Bailey. 6 players for 3 positions, whether it's 2 9s and 1 10 or 2 10s and 1 9. You can mix and match almost anybody there, really. I mean, like you say, Watkins can play perhaps withdrawn a bit in one of the 10s, if you like. Bailey can play as one of the 9s. So we have got a lot of options there. So I'm okay with the forward line, but midfield is definitely where the question marks are at the moment. Sanson just seems to not be in favour at all. Hasn't made one of the squads. I don't think he was on the bench in the first game. Might have been, but I don't think. But I think Gerrard sees him anyway as not somebody he's going to play. So it leaves you with 4, possibly 5 with Tim. But I think, like you, I think Tim has probably been earmarked potentially for a loan, because he's only really come out and actually said that Archer is definitely going to be a part of the first team squad. I don't think he's actually said that about Tim Irabunam yet. Now, whether they can't get somebody in and they're leaving that decision to the last minute, that if we did get an 8 in, then Tim would go out on loan to get minutes, potentially. But it does leave us short for me in the midfield. I mean, Kamara, if he does let Nakamba go and then Tim is your backup for him, if he's injured, that leaves Douglas Luiz having to play there again, doesn't it? And basically the same 11 as played last year. I know this is worst case scenario, and touch wood, we don't want anything to happen to anybody else. But it does leave that midfield, form-wise as well. We didn't see the best of McGinn last year. Ramsey started the season absolutely on fire, but his form waned towards the end of the season, although it did look like he was getting back to somewhere near his best on Saturday, which is good to see. We're all hoping that Luiz signs this contract and commits himself now to the club for 2 or 3 more years. But it's numbers, really, isn't it? It's number-wise that I think is the problem. We all want to go deep in some of the cups. We want to have good cup runs. So early rounds of that, we all know that the Premier League clubs generally chop and change the teams around. We want to be strong enough to knock Bolton out. That's the next. We're not going to win We're not going to win the cup if we don't beat Bolton. So we want to make sure we're strong enough to beat them. And if we've got a very weakened first team squad, is he going to play Sanson? Is he going to play Traore? Is he going to play El Ghazi? Is he going to, we're going to see those players drafted back in for that game because he wants to keep the first team fit and not worrying about anybody getting injured? I don't know. These are all questions that have been thrown up through this injury, and it's nobody's fault. It's not the club's fault. It's not Diego Carlos' fault. It's just happened. But it's if anything, it's shone a light on where we are currently, which is what's prompted this emergency pod coming out.
Yeah, it's just this little injury, and it's just sort of in the back of your head, you're sort of thinking, oh shit, what happens if Kamara gets injured? I mean, oh my god, if that.
I know we can't. I know we can't think like that because you've just got to. You can't live your life on ifs and buts, can you? But all this has done is just highlighted how delicate it is, isn't it? When you get an injury, what happens next? What happens next? But you'd like to think they've got all these things, worst case scenarios in the background, and they've got
Yeah.
players that they can call on. Hopefully.
And I think the other thing that, when we was having our chat earlier is Ryan mentioned the wage bill. It's
Yeah.
like we all want these players to come in, but at the end of the day, if you've got X amount of players, we got 4 players, sort of like El Ghazi, Traore, Sanson, Gilbert, Courtney. There's 5 players there that are all probably picking up a combined 200 grand, maybe. I don't know, more than
I'd
that.
say more than that.
And we're paying their wages, and we don't want them. So that's a big issue, isn't it? They don't even feature at all. So all they're doing is training, and that's probably taking up the space of a couple of signings, maybe.
I would think so. Yeah, I was just trying to do some math. Yeah, you're not far off with that. So if we could somehow get rid of them off the wage bill, then you could easily bring 2 more players in and not worry about their wages. But yeah, it has to be thought about, doesn't it? The wage bill. Yes, the net spend, which everybody's going on about, isn't very much this season. But the players we've brought in are all on big wages. Coutinho, Carlos, and Kamara would all be on significantly high wages, because of the quality that they are and where they could have gone. So, i.e., Champions League clubs, they pay the big money, don't they? So we would have had to have offered them pretty healthy pay packets to get them in.
But
So
then
we have to.
the other thing is, we're not in that territory where this ownership weren't the ones that bought them, because they were,
Yeah.
So it's also about some of the decisions and some of these players that some of them have done okay, but technically they haven't worked out, have they? Traore, it's not really worked out apart from that one season. Sanson completely not worked out. So those type of players, we've got to get rid before I think we make any more signings, I reckon. That's what I think we're trying to do. That's what I think they've been doing. I think they've been trying to get rid of them, haven't they? But they're just not budging because no one wants them, do they? And a lot of the French market, the Spanish market, they ain't got no money.
They're all
We
trying
want
to
to
shed players, aren't they?
for Traore, we want a fee for Sanson, but who's going to pay them? Who's going to pay 8, 9, 10 million for Sanson? Because I can't see anyone doing that. And this is why we always have to try and loan them to try and get a bit of a value on them before we can sort of sell them to the club that they've been on loan with. The Keenan Davis one, I think we were close to Forest trying to buy him, but they've gone up a level and they're like now in the European market, aren't they? They're looking for all these European top targets. They're after that Aurora, aren't they? And they're after players. They've moved on from the Keenan Davises of the world, but that loan worked okay. We could have been looking at getting like £11 million, 10 million for him, but now he's going out on loan to Watford. So he's on loan to Watford. So I think that's a bit of an issue with some of the players that we don't want, that no one else wants them.
I think it's not even a monetary issue with the owners. I think there's no doubting that their pockets are pretty deep, and the money's there if we need to. But ultimately, like we did, I'm sure we'll do 1 or 2 more with Dave on the finances side. You have to balance the books. You have to be careful. I know we've seen everybody's pointing at Forest going mental in the transfer market, signing about 500 players, but they're taking a massive punt, aren't they? They're basically hocking their
They're rolling a dice, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah, they've basically come up and said we're gonna go for it. We haven't been up for 25 years, so we're not gonna die. Wondering really. They're gonna just go for it. And to the point, I don't want to do that anymore. We've done our time doing that, of trying to just basically scattergun approach, buying a load of players and hoping a few of them land. I want to see, which we have seen this year, especially, is a real, look at the specific players and just getting the exact ones in that we need, which is why this is such a huge blow for me, because we have done that. We've identified 2 players that are going to improve our starting 11. They both started the season. We've lost one of them, so it is a bit of blow. I think that's why we're all feeling a bit down in the dumps today. Because had it have been, with all due respect to Augustine, had he'd come on the last 10 minutes and he'd done his Achilles, you'd have just said, "Oh, it's a shame," but you wouldn't have been that concerned about it, would you? Because it's one of the marquee summer signings, one of the two that came in. It's a real blow now. So it looks. I think that's probably what's making me sort of worry a bit about our transfer window, and I'm probably worrying too much, because we've lost one of the main signings, and ultimately I wanted 5 or 6 players in, and we have brought 5 in, haven't we? Albeit 3 of them were just squad players, 2 of them were starters. So I do think if we could just get one more in, an 8, a really top quality 8 who would come straight into the team, I think we'd all be a bit more calm. Well, I'd be a bit more calmer. I think other people are calmer than I am, but it's a shame. It is a shame.
Yeah, right. So we'll just move on to just a bit of a general chat now. We've got that out the way. What you've been watching much Premier League football?
Yeah, I watched the game yesterday. Forest, thought I did really well. I thought West Ham were unlucky, to be honest. They hit the woodwork a couple of times, had a goal disallowed, which I thought was a bit unfair. But yeah, to be fair to Forest, the signings they made, they look like they've settled quite quickly. In fact, I think the promoted clubs, I think you can discount Bournemouth's performance away at Man City because there's not many teams going to get much there anyway. But they've all done pretty well. I think Fulham were unlucky not to win at Wolves, missing the penalty as well. So it's going to make the season pretty tough, really, because even the promoted teams are looking like they're going to compete with everybody else, which makes our need to make sure we improve in everything even more important, doesn't it? But yeah, it's been an interesting start to the season, hasn't it? There's another one tonight. I don't know who's the game tonight.
Liverpool Palace. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, we've got Palace on the weekend.
I mean, you'd probably say that's going to be a Liverpool win. So Palace are going to go into it with 2 losses. Up come Aston Villa then. So we'll see how that one goes. But we'll leave that for the match preview. But yeah, so we just thought we'd just come on live, just have a little bit of a look at the squad, the window, what we feel like we need. But yeah, I feel everybody still feels like we need just that little bit more, don't they?
Yeah, and there's still plenty of time. Let's not, I'm not going to get too carried away. I'm sure we'll do an end of transfer window episode where we can properly dissect it, and hopefully by then there's maybe 1 or 2 more coming in, that we can really, improve us. I do think we're one light. I do, as it stands. I really do. Hopefully they can get that done, and a couple more performances go our way, and things will look a lot brighter.
Definitely. Cool. Right. So we'll round it up there. Thanks everybody who has watched this impromptu live stream on a Monday afternoon. Unlike us to just drop one in there, but I thought we were both free.
Flexible. We're flexible.
Yes. So we had loads of content at the weekend, match reaction, player ratings, fan cam. Go and check those out. This week, we'll have match preview. That'll be out on Wednesday. We'll have the predicted lineup Thursday. And then we will have the match reaction Saturday after the game. And then the player ratings will come out on Sunday. If you can all just drop this stream a like and then subscribe if you haven't, it'd be highly appreciated. And up the Villa.
Up the Villa.